Hello everyone, this is Miss X.
Hi everyone, this is Mr. Y.
And today we're going to talk about a recent controversy, CCTV's 2018 Spring Gala. One of the skits has been accused of being racist for how it portrayed Chinese and African relations.
And for those who are not able to speak Chinese, you could search 同喜同乐 2018 CCTV Chinese Gala show. It describes what happened in Kenya just following the completion of the Nairobi Mombasa Railway, how the Kenyan people appreciate the railroad, and also the actress, the young girls wish to study and learn in China.
Now let's start off with some context. Spring Festival is the largest holiday in China. During this time of year, most Chinese people will travel to their hometown and participate in a series of traditional activities for about 2 weeks. Now, since the 1980s, one of these traditions has been the nation broadcasted CCTV Spring Gala. This is about a 4 to 5 hour TV show that showcases skits, dancing, and songs that celebrate China, some of the recent initiatives within the society, as well as welcoming in the new year. It takes place on New Year's Eve, according to the Chinese calendar.
Traditionally, Spring Festival Gala should become part of Spring Festival. This year, I got the data from the internet. It's estimated there are around 700 million people receiving the show. How great the number it is. Anyway, now we're going to talk about why the gala show on the skits become controversial. So we're going to give some context of the skit.
First, let me briefly tell you about the skit. As mentioned before, it starts off with a Chinese man who's working in Africa in a suit, and he's surrounded by some of his African peers he met at the local Confucius Institute, where they were learning Chinese. These ladies are all dressed up within their flight gear as they work for an airline, and behind them there is an assortment of wild animals and other African people dressed up in stereotypical tribal wear. In the second scene, I should say, one of these ladies is back home with her mother. Her mom wants her to go on a blind date. So she ends up begging her Chinese friend to pretend to be her partner so that her mom will back off. There's a series of hijinks, but eventually the misunderstanding is resolved, and the girl tells her mother, I want to study in China. I want to learn Chinese and be like the Chinese people. The mother, surprisingly, is not angry and says, you know, my life was actually saved by a Chinese doctor several decades before. I love China. And so the skit ends with a very celebratory and happy tone.
Well, personally, I do not think there is anything wrong when a foreigner or a Chinese national say, I love China. However, the show became controversial because for these three following aspects. First, the actor or an actress or mom is Chinese lady. She pretends to be a black woman. There's nothing wrong, but she painted her face into black, and what's worse, used a fake oversized boob and bottom. That's part. The second, the giraffe as a transportation. The third, her pets as a monkey. Anyway, we talk from the mom's fake body first.
Alright, so as mentioned, instead of hiring an actual black actress or even an African woman, they decided to hire a Chinese woman who was painted in blackface and again exaggerated her sexual organs, meaning the chest and the bottom. Now, this portrayal of a black woman is nothing new. It's been around since colonial times. If you think of Sarah Bartman, known as the Hottentot Venus, or if you think about African American minstrelsy and the way how mammies were portrayed. The issue here is, one, why not hire a real woman? Some people argue that there's so much Chinese that had to be spoken, they couldn't find a black woman who was able to. Whether or not that's true, we'll move on. But two, why are we still regurgitating stereotypes? If you're going to portray a black woman, why was it necessary to over-exaggerate certain parts of her body? And then, why was this exaggeration considered humorous or fun or entertaining, right? The black body is not necessarily something that's humorous or the butt of a joke.
Well, I do agree. So now I'm coming to talk to for the second part. We realize today you live in China, you just switch on your mobile phone. You see, normally we have like iPhone bike or mobile. That's one of the most popular bike apps you see here, right? But in the show, you realize their giraffe worked as a bike. But I might challenge, do African people can't ride a bike or there's no bike? So that means Africans still live in an uncivilized, really wild, exotic lifestyle. They live with animals. That might be partly true. However, there do Africans live in the city, in urban towns. And number 3, we realize the mom has a giant-sized monkey. Yeah, I do love monkeys. However, monkeys sometimes it's really difficult to find them as pets, and monkeys could be angry. So all of those re-emphasize the stereotype of African people towards or from the Chinese side. They live with animals, they stay with animals, they're living in the wild, they do need help. That's maybe the message.
And I think that's a very good point to make. As you said earlier, the fact that you can rent a giraffe instead of renting modern transportation shows this idea that Africa not only is not modern, but it's a bit uncivilized. The people are one with the animals and they need the help of the Chinese to come in. Now, the other thing though, is that the skit takes place in Kenya, but it's not actually clear. What you see instead is this generic Africa, and it reinforces the stereotype of Africa being a country instead of a continent with the diversity and variety that it truly has.
Yeah, Africa has more than 50 countries. There's 3 major official languages: Arabia, French, English. There are also Arab people and white African live there. I mean, the European descendants. Anyway, now we could come to the conclusion why we think this skit itself could become such controversial production.
Now, one thing we have to look at is the way how China perceives itself and its relationships with Africa. You know, from the way how the main Chinese character is dressed in a suit, he's very professional, and how the majority of the African people were still in primitive, based on the stereotype, primitive tribal clothing. The fact that China has brought the train, but most African people still run around with animals as their pets in their form of transportation. They portray this idea as China being advanced and the one who needs to come and save, educate, and make more civilized the residents of Africa and its various countries.
Exactly. Actually, many people know the English name of China means China where or China right. But in Chinese, people call it 中国 means the country who locates in the very center of the world. However, the China-African relations might show a centric and peripheral. Africa stays in the edge of human civilization, undeveloped, uncivilized, but China boosts its economy construction to help Africa as donor, as constructor. So for me personally, I might suggest any directors or an actress want to make a good China-Africa relations, they should to put both Chinese, African elements inside to consider each other's true feelings rather than imagine. You know, in 1970s, for many Europeans, they know Chinese from their own personal image. That's what we call Orientalism. That's a fake, imagined one. But today, I do believe many Chinese people might believe in the show, so the show might be reinforced the already existed stereotype towards African people. That's something unfortunately happened.
And what I would like to add on is, as he mentioned earlier, this show not only regurgitates but perpetuates very old stereotypes. And even as Chinese people may be ignorant of the history, the fact is these stereotypes of the mammy, of whatever else was portrayed, were made to keep a certain group of people down. It was made to marginalize a certain group of people and to make them seem less human as they are. Since China is continuing to become more and more important on the world stage, it's more and more important for them to be able to interact and portray other countries and cultures in a respectful way, just like China wants to be treated themselves. The idea here is not whether or not China was being racist, but now that they have been made aware of some of the problems with the portrayal, how will they respond? In the future, will they keep reinforcing these stereotypes, or will they stop back and say, hey, people are finding this offensive, this is considered racist, let us stop and actually try to portray people more realistically in a way in which they feel respected?
Yeah, we could easily imagine in a Hollywood movie or in an African show, our Chinese wear gloves and they're small size and their eyes like this way. Hey guys, what's up? So, what do you think the image of Chinese? Are they all nerd? Are they all technicians? Of course not. And also I think either Chinese or African, they live in the world of globalization, or an era of globalization. We try to communicate each other. So you try to put each other aside, and for the last part, someone may say, hey, monkey is lucky animal in China, or the color of black, Chinese people have different understandings. I do agree, and personally, I never doubt the skin is produced deliberately as racist production. Never. They want to bring happiness. They want to bring fun. They want to create a great qualified production. However, when you try to produce such production internationalized, ask people from Africa or fly to Africa, take a look first. Otherwise, the stereotype will destroy your production. And personally, I want to say thanks for this production. It's really a great opportunity for Mrs. X and Mr. Y to discuss such an interesting topic. And we love China, we love Africa too. We want to be a great relations. And you never know, she's African, she's not. I'm not Chinese, but that's not matter. The matter is we try to understand each other from not the color, but from the content and context behind us.
So I think that's going to wrap things up. Anything else to say?
No, so probably we see you guys for the second episode. Please remember, this is Mr. Y.
And Miss X. So everyone take care.
See you later, guys. Bye.